Hello, everyone. We are back with another PowerPoint. And this topic is focused on establishing healthy boundaries. Um, I know that boundaries may be set with a lot of different situations. It might be set with friends, families, um, you know, relationships as far as like boyfriend and girlfriend. However, I hope that this PowerPoint helps you the next time that you're in a situation where you have to set boundaries or someone else may need to set boundaries. So let's hop in. So the first thing you need to do when setting boundaries is name your limits. You can't set boundaries if you are unsure of where you stand. So make sure that you identify your emotional, mental, and spiritual limits. Also consider your comfortability and what you can and can't handle. So when it comes to naming your limits, you have to be um, honest with yourself. So, like bullet point number 1 said, identify your emotional, mental, and spiritual limits. So think deep, dig deep, and be honest so that you can get the proper outcome that you want. So next is to make sure that you tune into your feelings. When in certain situations, pay attention to how you feel. Do you feel discomfort or resentment? And it's always good to scale this on a continuum from 0 to 10. So if you feel discomfort or resentment in any way, that may mean that someone, either you or someone else, has crossed the boundary, and that should be addressed. So really, when you're in a situation and you have set boundaries, focus on how you feel during the situation and afterwards. And if you feel like you weren't comfortable or there was some, uneasiness, maybe, like I said, you might have overstepped a boundary and therefore that should be addressed. So, like I mentioned before, number 3, you must be direct. For some people, a direct and clear-cut dialogue may not be needed when setting boundaries, but for others, however, it's necessary. You want to be as clear as possible. You don't want to leave any, gray area for miscommunication or misunderstanding. Because when setting boundaries, if it's not clear, it can get kind of messy and, results in not, benefiting either of you. And therefore, what's the point of setting boundaries if you aren't going to follow through with them properly? So be clear with what you want and expect from the other person. And it may be hard, but you have to be honest with yourself. And that's always, going to be hard to do for some people, being honest with yourself, because you may know what you need to do, but when it actually comes to acting accordingly, it can be hard. And I'm speaking for myself as well. Number 4, give yourself permission. So boundaries aren't just a sign of a healthy relationship, they're a sign of self-respect. So give yourself the permission to set boundaries and work to preserve them. And don't be afraid to speak up for yourself and others and tell others no. That is a very important point. Speak up and don't be afraid to do what's best for you. Um, a lot of the times we make decisions based off of trying to please others and not hurt other people's feelings, or, we want to do what's best for others a lot of the times. But when it comes to giving yourself permission to do what's best for yourself, that is very important, and that should come first. Number 5, practice self-awareness. Being healthy and having healthy, good emotional health, it all has to do with being very aware of yourself and in tune with yourself. So if you catch yourself not sustaining your boundaries, ask yourself, what has changed? What about this situation is stressing me out? What do I have control over? Don't be afraid to, check yourself. Ask yourself these questions because it's necessary in order to get the outcome, like I said, that you want. You want to make sure that you're not setting these boundaries for no reason. You want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do in order to be your best self. Number 6, consider your past and present. So the way you were raised or your role in your family may create obstacles when it comes to you setting and preserving boundaries with others. So consider if your relationships are reciprocal, and ask yourself if your environments are healthy or not. So yes, definitely, it's a good thing to kind of pinpoint if there was anything significant in like your upbringing or any trauma that might result in reasons why you keep crossing boundaries, or why it's hard for you to preserve these boundaries, because that can help you out a lot and help others out a lot when it comes to holding yourself accountable when these boundaries are set, and ultimately, when it comes to actually setting these boundaries. Number 7, make self-care a priority. This is very huge. Give yourself permission to put yourself first. Self-care allows you to recognize the importance of your feelings and honoring them. That's kind of self-explanatory, but you have to put yourself first in all things. You are your number one priority, so therefore invest in yourself. Take time to do what you think is healthy and good for yourself, so that you can take on the world, so that you can tackle these life challenges and changes. It really does make a huge difference, because if you aren't your best self, you can't expect you can't expect to have a specific outcome if you yourself aren't good. And number 8, seek support. If you're having trouble setting boundaries, seek help from family and friends, counseling, church, or even support groups. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for an accountability buddy. I actually do this with my friend. She reached out to me. She had a goal, and she really wanted me to hold her accountable. So every other day I would check in with her to make sure that she, was on top of her goal, and this really did help her. So definitely, it may seem silly at first, but it really does make a difference. Number 9, be assertive. We cannot just set boundaries. We must also follow through with them. So respectfully let the other person know if they have crossed a boundary, and express what's bothersome to you and how you both can work towards addressing it. So this is similar to the point that I made earlier in being honest. So be assertive. If you want to get the result that if there's if there's a certain result that you want, you have to make sure that you are taking the proper steps in order to get there. So let someone know if they're crossing a boundary. Be honest with yourself if you are crossing a boundary, and express that so that you can both, work, address it and work towards the end goal. And number 10, start small. Being assertive may take some practice, so start off with a small boundary and work your way up. Try not to take on something that feels overwhelming. Setting boundaries, the main reason why you're probably setting boundaries is because you're in an overwhelming situation, or a situation that kind of causes you discomfort or stress. So you don't want to therefore create boundaries or goals that will add on to that stress. So, like I said, start small, work your way up, and you will be good. It's all about, vocalizing how you feel, expressing things, communicating, and just being honest and clear and direct. So the next time you are in a situation where you feel like you need to set boundaries, I hope that you all are able to look back on this presentation and, take notes, mental notes, and therefore implement this into your own scenario or situation so that you can preserve these boundaries and therefore reach the end goal. So I hope that you all enjoyed this PowerPoint and find it very useful. And stay tuned for the upcoming workshops. Hope you have a good one. Bye.